We're back.
All right, we're back with another soccer podcast. It's Jake, Ali, Nick. We made it, and we have a sick topic for you guys today. The topic in question is who's going to start for England at the Euros 2021. England's had dozens of up-and-coming players this season, putting up huge stats, huge numbers. So it's going to be one of the most competitive squads to get on. So we just wanted to build our fantasy squads with England players, what we think is going to start in the Euros. And I'll get us started right away with it. Are you guys ready?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
A little bit surprises here and there. I went for kind of a funky formation, but
Wow.
I think I like what I'm doing here.
Damn.
So I'll start at the bottom. I think Pope deserves a goalkeeper spot for me. I think he's fourth in clean sheets in the Prem this year. He's shown a lot of what he's about. I've been hearing some of the Sky guys talking all about Pope as well. And I like him over Pickford. I think Pickford can make some critical mistakes in the box, so I'll take Pope over Pickford. Then I'll go to my top three. I think top three is clear for everyone. I think everyone has pretty similar top three. Kane, Rashford, Sterling out of the discussion. It's hard to compete with those guys, even though I wanted to put Sancho instead of Rashford. I don't think I can do that just yet. I think Rashford has the spot on the England team for now. So my big surprise, I think, is Saka, Bukayo. I picked him because he's the most versatile player on this team. So I'll show you guys right after, but he can play this position or he can play as my left back. And I think that at the Euro squad, it prevents you from having to take another defensive player. If you can take Saka, he can play more positions for you. And he's been having an amazing season. Henderson for me is the leader on this team. Same with Maguire. So I think they're gonna be those two leader players. And then I have Maddison, Grealish. I think Grealish has his spot on the team. They played against Belgium in the last United Nations. And he had an amazing game, and I think he needs a spot on the team. And Maddison's been putting crazy numbers as well this season, so I want to see him play. Stones is somehow come out of his shell again and is doing amazing. So I want him on this team. And then Kyle Walker was a tough one, but I think if I'm playing a back three, he's a lot more solid than Trent Alexander-Arnold. So I'll have him here. Then my bench, the one big surprise is Harvey Barnes, but I think his numbers speak for themselves this season. So I went with him over Mason Mount. I know you guys are going to give me some shit for that, but the numbers speak for themselves. And I have another slide here just in case you guys want to see how you can change it into a back four. You can put Bukayo on the left back and the lineup still works. And I put some stats here as well. Maddison, some crazy stats. Grealish, good numbers. And then if you look at Saka's stats, 6 goals, 7 assists this season.
He's been so good.
He's been so good. And then you look at Mason Mount's stat this season, 5 goals, 6 assists. And then compare that to my bench players as well. Harvey Barnes and Phil Foden, 13 goals, 11 goals, 4 assists, 6 assists. So I can't put Mason Mount in mine, and that's my squad.
I like it. About your squad, Nick. Can you go back to the 3 in the back?
Yeah.
Just it's too offensive for me. I know you can put Saka in the back, and I probably like that more, but
I'm with Jake, Nick. I don't think Maddison and Grealish start in the same team.
Stones would be too much of a liability on that left side, especially if there's a fast winger or whatever. And
you know who could be an interesting choice at wing back if Southgate goes with a 3? Because I'm reading that he just might. They could play Cullum, Hudson-Odoi at left wing back.
Yeah, so
have him and Saka on the wings.
I've seen England play the 3 in the back, but it's usually with wing backs. It's not with wingers like you have there.
Saka has played there.
Yeah, he can play the wing back position, but for me, if I'm gonna play the 3 in the back and have a wing back, it's obviously Trent for me over Saka there.
I think Trent's been pretty poor this year. I think Trent's defensively liable. I think he got away with it for a year and a half because he had Van Dijk, Alisson, Joe Gomez, Robertson, and he got to play in a 4-back line. He was shifted all the way right up, and the defense would slide his way. So he had the liberty of kind of being this right wing back who could get to midfield. And it was a little bit.
I don't think Trent is a pure right back. He's a wing back. That's why he was able to do what he did when Van Dijk and Joe Gomez were there, because.
But he wasn't playing as a wing back then. He was playing in a 4, but then tactically he would just kind of almost act as that, right? So it wasn't a traditional 3 at the back with the 2 wings.
But he had more license to go up because Joe Gomez and Van Dijk were so
right, but he doesn't have Van Dijk. That cover's not there.
And that's why I didn't include Trent in this. Because
I
don't want him.
he had the year that he's had because he doesn't have the free license to go up and do what he does.
Yep. I know, dude. Another thing I was gonna say with this lineup is I thought about what you guys said, but I think with Henderson in there, I think it gives Madison and Grealish way more freedom to play offensively, because Henderson plays center back for Liverpool, and he's gonna play that main defensive role there. So I think he slots back a little bit, gives Madison, Grealish more space at the top, and Saka can drop back as well as a defender. So I think you're looking at almost 5 defenders of Saka, Henderson, Stones, Maguire, and Walker. So I think with Henderson, he's the reason this formation could work with Grealish and Madison. But
Henderson's the biggest lock to start. Henderson and Maguire and Kane. You can put those 3 on the team every game.
I think that just to make up for Grealish's defensive liabilities on the left side, to make up for that pace, you should put maybe Walker on the left and Stones on the right.
I could do that. Or switch. Yeah, no, I could do that.
Just because when I'm looking at that left side, that's something so vulnerable where if I'm the opposing team, I'm going for that right side.
Yeah, no, you can switch it around based on who you play against, but no, I see what you're saying. All right, let's move on to Jake's lineup. You guys ready? And I'll put this guy here.
Yeah, for me, I think England works best with traditional 4-3-3.
Wow, we all have the same front 3. Wow.
Yeah, obviously, I think the front 3 is kind of undisputed. Yeah, I think Sancho has potential to make it into that lineup at some point. But right now, those 3 up top are I think locked in for their respective positions. I gotta give it to Mason Mount. He's grown on me. The more I watch him, I like his tenacity. I love how he is very eager to play. So I think he's really good at that. Kind of attacking. I think Henderson would sit back and play the 6, play the defensive role, and Foden has freedom to do what he does as well. I think that is Foden's best position. I think Pep plays him on the left wing or the right wing sometimes, but in that center where he's creating and things that he does, I think he reminds me a lot of David Silva in a way. So I have to take Phil Foden and Mason Mount for my attacking midfielders. John Stones has kind of made his way back into his form, the center back that everyone thought he could be. He's been playing super well for Man City this season, so I have to, and since Joe Gomez has been hurt, I have to give him the nod over Joe Gomez. The right back position obviously is probably the most stacked position in any nation, I think, in the world.
Agreed.
It's nuts. They should have some of them play different positions.
Yeah.
I read something like Trent could play in a mid 3, like him holding next to Hendo with Foden ahead or with Grealish. They should try that.
I think they have 5 right backs that could start for the top leagues in the world.
Who would they be? Wan-Bissaka, Trent,
Reece James, Kyle Walker, Alexander-Arnold, and Kieran Trippier. I think.
And Justin James, the Leicester right back, is so good. Good.
That Tavernier guy, I think, in Ligue 1 who's making noise as well. No, not in Ligue 1, in Championship.
Ligue 1.
And then Yeah, so I think they have 5 right backs that could like all start for like a team like France. You know, I think all 5 of them start over Pavard, which is crazy. And
I agree with that.
I wanted to put Dean Henderson in there, but we haven't seen enough of him. But I think the potential for Dean Henderson is it could be the next upcoming England goalkeeper for the next decade or so if he can live up to his potential. But he hasn't played enough for Man U where I can't give him the edge over that. And for me, Calvert-Lewin goes over Jamie Vardy just because I like the physical presence that he offers up top, the way he can play back to goal and be able to hold up the ball rather than Jamie Vardy. I think it fits the England system a little better.
Guys, just so you guys both know too, because you guys both brought it up, Jamie Vardy is retired from English international soccer.
Actually?
Yeah, he doesn't play for England anymore. So I know you mentioned him, Nick, and then I just because Jake said it again, but I didn't know that till 14 minutes. I didn't know that till I started Googling like some of their squads and stuff. So yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, if he is, then obviously you go with Calvert-Lewin. But
yeah, either way, even if he is, I think I would pick Calvert just because of this last season, and he looks dangerous when I watch Everton. He's fucking dirty.
Dude,
yeah,
Jake, talk us through Luke Shaw. I don't think you said anything about that. You're the only one who's picked him.
I think that's a brilliant choice, Jake. I rate Luke Shaw very high. I love Luke Shaw.
I think he's had a standout season as well. But
is a little short for England. I think it's, undisputedly either him or Ben Chilwell. I don't think there's anyone else that would go. But I don't know, man. I watch Luke Shaw obviously way more than Ben Chilwell. I've seen him play a few times. I think Ben Chilwell is a brilliant player, but Luke Shaw,
He was last year, and then
more underrated left backs in the game. He's so good, man. He's so good going forward. He can defend. He can do everything. So for me, it's Luke Shaw.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people can have differing opinions on that. For me, Ben Chilwell, I haven't seen him too much. Where I just didn't like the fact he's getting dropped by Tuchel.
Yeah.
Fucking.
He can complain and say he's a victim of the formation. He's not a left wing back, but it's scary. He's a 50 million euro purchase, and he started 7 of the 11 Euro. He was the undisputed left back for Southgate to get to the Euro. But everyone online is saying what Jake is saying. Like, how can you go 4 or 5, maybe 6 months, half a season of not playing regularly to just being the regular? You're not in the form and in the rhythm. So, Jake, I'm with you.
Yeah, so that's why I picked Luke, and then obviously Harry and Henderson are the 2 leaders of the team. Where I think.
Yeah, I think
hot take, guys. Hot take. Harry Maguire is very overrated.
He is overrated, but he's still a very good player. He's their best center back, I think. But he's still overrated. He shouldn't be.
I think when he has a partner who can hide his deficiencies, it works. It works. But sometimes who he plays with also make these like one-off errors, and then it doesn't work.
No, but
He's overrated, but do you think that he's better than John Stones or Joe Gomez?
I think John Stones is in better current form. I think Maguire might be the better overall player. Stones is in a blue patch of form. I think City's won 13 games in a row, or haven't lost in 13 tries. They're undefeated in 17 games, and Stones has started in most of those.
Well, I think when John Stones has a good game, he tops Maguire's best games. But
that's all I mean. I think he's technically better. I think he's probably a better passer of the ball.
Hit or miss. He's not very reliable. He has like really bad like fuck ups all the time. It's like Maguire is just so consistent. He'll give you a good game every game, rather than John Stones will give you a great game some games and some shit games some games. So
I'm with that.
I think regardless, we're all picking these 2 guys as the center backs for England, and I think Maguire is a little bit overrated just because he cost 80 million pounds. So,
it's tough with that title.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's move on to Ali's team.
That's my lineup.
Yeah, I like it.
Pickford, I love him. He makes a fucking brilliant saves.
You love him?
Jake is secretly in love with Jordan Pickford.
In love with him.
All right, let's go to Ali's team.
Let me just preface it with this. I went off who I thought Southgate would start, And then there's one joke in there on purpose just
All right.
to fuck with Jake, but that's because the position is so up in the, like you said, the Shaw. And
All right. Let's go.
every other position,
Oh my God.
dude, I didn't do this, dude. Nick is fucking with us, dude. Nick went for an all Chelsea lineup.
Ali sent me his lineup like 5 minutes before the podcast, so I didn't think he was doing it. So I made this lineup for him just to fuck with him.
No, I was fucking reading into what South. No, this is ridiculous, though.
Yeah, so I'll move on to Ali's actual lineup, but this is Ali's dream lineup.
You sick fuck, Nick.
This beat ass picture that Ali took, but I guess
okay. So I'll just start with.
Damn, Declan Rice.
I'll start with up top. It pretty much picks itself. Like I don't think any three of us got any three of the up top different than what it was. From what I can read, Jordan Henderson is starting 150%. He's the captain. He will man that midfield. He is trusted by Southgate. Interestingly enough, Southgate goes for a conservative midfield. I think he likes to leave the front three on the high press and then able to counter when they want with speed with Sterling and Rashford. So he plays with a 6-6, a 2 pivot. It's Henderson and Rice. And right in front of them, Mount and Grealish have actually started the same amount of Euro games. Grealish just got a little bit of a later start, so maybe he would start more if he had been there for the extra 4 games that Mount had been for. So just off that, I just took Mount. Obviously, I think Grealish is brilliant. He's probably having a better year, but it's going to be between them, right? That's a really tough one. I think it's going to be Declan and Hendo for sure. And I think the one in front of them is between James Maddison, Mason Mount, Jack Grealish, Phil Foden. I think that's how it's going to go. He's going to definitely play with the double pivot. We all want the dream, like play Foden with Mount and Grealish and have 8 up there, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think he's going to go with the double pivot of Declan and Hendo, which he trusts. And right in front of them, he's going to play Mount, Grealish, or Foden, or Madison, or whoever. So then if you get to the back line, the left back is a joke. That's obviously to mess with Jake. Reece James does not play left back. But so interestingly, Southgate in about 35% of his games went with a back 4, and then 75% of his games went with a 3 and then 2. So I just went with the 4 because it was what was on the Foothead website. I didn't have a real choice of it. I didn't know you could switch it around, or I would have switched it. But Mings has been the partner of choice for Maguire in the most recent.
Love that pick, Ali. I love that pick.
So I honestly, to be honest with you guys, I forgot about Stones. I totally forgot because I was reading so much about with Southgate, and the Daily Mail has the statistical analysis of the most players used in the squad. So I forgot about Stones. I honestly did. But Mings and Maguire was what he did trust at the end of the qualifying. Yeah. He put Trent at right back, and left back, I think, is a huge question mark. I don't know how you can justify Ben Chilwell having a place in the team if he goes half a year without playing. I don't know what they do. I've seen some rumors online. Maybe Bukayo Saka can play left back. Maybe Trippier can go to the left. I don't know. I think Luke Shaw should be in the squad for sure. I agree with that. Maybe even starting. I wouldn't disagree if Luke Shaw, if Man U was top 2, top 3, went to Europa League final, had a strong year in the FA Cup, I wouldn't disagree with Luke Shaw starting. I do think Ben Chilwell is a little bit better of a player than Luke Shaw. I think Luke Shaw has bad hamstrings, bad ankles. He's always hurt. And he has this way where he's running up and down all game, and you can almost tell with Luke Shaw something's going to pull or give at some point. But I think he is brilliant getting up and down the left flank. I just think Ben Chilwell is probably a little bit better crosser of the ball and has a little bit better shot. I think Luke Shaw can probably take people on one-on-one better. Might even be a little bit faster, pacier. But I think Chilwell had solidified himself as that back number 4. And then Pickford kind of picks himself. There were some questions I read over his form. Obviously, people like Nick Pope, notably the Man U backup, Dean Henderson, who was great for Sheffield last year. He's come into a different dressing room now. He's not playing as much, but I would put money on the 3 goalkeepers he takes are going to be Pickford, Henderson, and Pope. I just think Pickford has played well enough recently that he probably retains that spot. And in his credit, he did, like I said, start the most qualifiers at that position. So I do think this is more or less the exact England lineup. I think the only thing switching would be Mount for maybe another CAM. Obviously, Reece James, that's a joke. Yeah. And if Stones can play his way into the team, I could see Stones playing his way into the team. But that is, yeah, this is what I would think. This is what Southgate will start with. If you can just put a left back instead of James, I think that's pretty much the team. And then maybe you switch up the center attacking mid to a Grealish or whoever. Small note, and it doesn't matter, but Gary Southgate was actually the U21 manager before he got the job, before he got the big man's job. His captain on the U21 team was Mason Mount. So I know they say there's some favoritism there. I think, some of that is true. Some of it is unfair to Mason because he's a lot better than people give him credit for. But I have a weird feeling, just this weird feeling, Mason Mount kind of in that utility, James Milner mold of do everything, go get the ball, high press, be everywhere, energy. I think Mount will find his way into the lineup. I think Henderson starts. And then I think Declan starts. So I think the midfield is the most interesting one. Is it going to be Foden? Is it going to be Grealish? Is it going to be Mace? What is it going to be? But, excited to see.
I agree. That's the biggest question is in the midfield, especially those attacking midfielders. And I mean, to go back to my point, I think like it's hard to give Mount at the start when you look at Grealish's and Madison's numbers this season. I mean, 11 goals, 10 assists, 7 goals, 12 assists compared to 5 goals, 6 assists. I know there's a little bit of preference, but in terms of the way they've been playing this year, Grealish and Madison have been putting on mega numbers, and it's going to be
that's a good point, Nick. And let me counter with this.
It's going to be really competitive, and I hope he gives Madison and Grealish a chance, honestly, because they deserve it.
I agree with you, and I think aesthetically, like they're more beautiful players, and obviously the counting stats go in their way. And maybe this is only because I'm a Chelsea fan, but I think what Mason does in a midfield three is uniquely different than them. I think he's the best at playing off the ball, so he's the best presser of the ball. He's the best at keeping pace with, okay, you need a man mark this guy, that guy. He has a knack for, I think, his like intercept. I can look it up, but there's some weird stat he had. And I don't know if in a club where you've changed coaches mid-year, you came into a team that you didn't know if you were a starter or not, if goals and assists are the most fair way for him to be judged off what he's actually played. It's been a weird year for Chelsea. I can tell you firsthand, Chelsea strikers aren't scoring a lot. There's not a lot of goals coming from the front three of Tammy, Giroud, and Werner. There should be. The attacking players like Kai and Hudson and Pulisic, Ziyech, they haven't really hit the ground running. So I don't know if really in a team like Aston Villa, who I think they scored 7 against Liverpool, who I think they have the fourth best ratio of goals to goals given, they play a free-flowing game. It's a little different,
Yeah, no, I know that's the goals and assists. It's not everything, but it shows a lot. But obviously, there's a lot beyond that. But I think that will be the biggest question in the lineup, and he's going to have a lot of pressure on him for sure. And excited to see what they can do. I still don't think they're going to be able to win the Euros. England always somehow manages to choke. So I don't think it's their year quite just yet. But I guess we'll see. And I guess like next episode we can do Euro predictions as well, and it'll be interesting to see who everyone picks.
Who do you guys think is better, James Madison or Jack Grealish?
I was just gonna say to that point, if he's going to play the two defensive pivot for the center attacking mid, he's gonna go with, everyone I think would want to go with the most attacking player that is gonna give you the creativity in that center attacking mid. And I think Mason Mount, to be honest, is fourth on that list out of all Grealish, Madison, and Foden in terms of the attacking abilities.
I would agree with that.
Mason Mount in there was, to your point, Ali, he is good defensively as well. He
does. He presses high. He's good at that.
On the defensive side, that's why I gave him the edge, just because I had only one center defensive mid in there, and I think Mason Mount can also be a good attacking player. But if you're going to have the two pivot, sit back and play defensive, the other three are better at that just one center attacking position than I think Mount. So if I'm going with the two pivot, it's, for me, Foden's the best out of the four.
Hard to argue.
Put Foden there, and then it'd be Grealish and Madison, and then
look at Foden's stats as well this season: 11 goals, 6 assists. And that's on Man City. He's balling out this season. I think we should see him in there as well. I agree, Jake.
And I think if we're gonna look at Gareth Southgate's perspective, you want to give your young players the experience in the national squad, the future of the team. So I think Foden could be like the guy for the next 10 years. So you want to see him grow and develop, playing in that national stage. So that is also a factor. I think Grealish and Madison are a little older and late bloomers. So
yeah, I think we covered it pretty well. I mean, anything to add?
Hot take, last take, guys. And remember this, I don't think James Madison will make the squad.
All right.
I wouldn't be surprised. But I think
it's a numbers game. You can only take 6 minutes. I just don't think he makes the squad.
So Ali, who's your bench?
So I guess in my head, I would have one of the two keepers, Pope or Henderson. I think Henderson might even be the best of the three. Honestly, I think his time is coming. I would probably put Dean Henderson over Pickford now, but I would probably have Henderson on the I don't know. Actually, I don't know if he'll take Pope or him. So then you have Stones or Mings, whoever's not starting. So one of them. I think you have Chilwell or Shaw. So that's 2. Then you have the goalie. That's 3.
Yeah.
I still think he has an outside back there. So I think Saka, Wan-Bissaka, Reece James are all fighting for one spot. I think it'll probably go to Bukayo Saka.
You got
so that's your defense and goalie. I think in midfield, if he starts Foden, then it's Mount. If he starts Mount, then or whatever. So that's 5. You have you have the CAM. Calvert-Lewin, I think will go, and I think Sancho will go.
Yeah,
and that's it.
So you're leaving Madison and Grealish out of your squad.
Or no.
It's tough. I know, but
Grealish will go.
Grealish has to go. He has to go.
Yeah, it's crazy how we can say has to go. I've seen some nuts things happen.
He takes 23 people. We're talking about only 18. So
no, yeah, he takes more people, but on the bench, yeah.
But on the bench, I think you only have 8 or 9 active.
Yeah.
Also, another thing that brings Grealish down, he's never played on a good team, so it's hard to.
Right. He's a big fish in a small fucking pond right now.
These big names, so
I think Grealish's proven himself. Honestly, England played in the Nations League with Grealish. And he was the best player on the team by far, the only one doing anything. And you guys were talking about his defense as well, but Grealish plays so hard off the ball. Grealish tries so hard on defense, in my opinion.
He does.
Yeah, he plays super hard. He's always there running, he's giving it everything every game. And I think he's going to make the squad. I was listening to the pundits as well, and they say he should have a spot. So
for sure, I think he'll have a spot.
I also think Grealish is more of a winger than he is like a center mid.
Yeah.
So, that's also.
But I just don't see him starting at winger though.
No, exactly. So the only spot that he would have being able to play is in that central position.
Right.
In the midfield.
And there's this thing of I think Mason and Phil Foden are probably better than him at this. Picking up spaces, unlocking the defense, finding where you're supposed to be in a high block or a low block if your team has the ball, doesn't have the ball. I think there's some characteristics that Grealish has, his 1v1 and his technical ability, that are better on a wing, that are more suited to be on a wing and kind of playing direct at the defense. Whereas in that hole, I think, it's more of an 8 and not a 10. And I think it's Southgate looking for someone to connect the midfield to the offense in that transition of counter or picking the ball back up or high pressing. So I think Grealish maybe is a victim of circumstances, but he is really good, undoubted. So we'll see.
All right.
Yeah, Declan Rice, because he's someone that's so young and so good.
So good, yeah, so good.
I think he's gonna come to a big club pretty soon as well. So yeah, it'd be good to see him play more on the big stage.
All right, I think we covered it all pretty much. I think we have good couple lineups. I'm happy to call it there. What about you guys?
Let's do weekend predictions really quick. Let me just pull up
let's outro this. Ali, give us an outro for this.
What does that mean?
Just be so these are our lineups. Let us know who you think's best. Comment below, all this shit.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching on this week's episode of Ali and Nick featuring Jake. Thank you, Jake, for being your special guest. Appreciate the time. Please comment what you thought of our lineups. And next week we'll get back to some topical stuff. If you guys want, we can do predictions.
Hit like and subscribe.
Yeah, please
Like
hit
and
like our
subscribe,
shit.
boys.
Like our shit, please. I'm broke on Venmo.